Hey everybody, Italo here from Moto, and today I showed you the step-by-step how you can change the front sprocket of your Honda CRF300L and also applicable for the rally. Let's get started. Now let me show to you what is the product code in case you want to get exactly the same front sprocket. I'm using a front sprocket with 14 teeth, so I'm keeping the original number of teeth that I have on my Honda CRF300L, but of course there are options also to change the ratios, how you want to have the gearing of your motorcycle. I'm going to have a separate video here on the channel that covers these into more detail. And also keep in mind that even though this video is only showing how to do the front sprocket, it is a good practice if it is time for you to change your chain and sprockets to do everything at the same time. But for the purpose of this video, it is only the front sprocket. Now, as always, I'm using the Moto toolkit. In case you're interested in getting the same, just go to royamoto.com. This is specific for the Honda CRF300L, but of course we have for many different motorcycle models. Everything organized. Here on the right side you have your spanners, your tire spoons, ratchet, then I have here my trail jack, pump, extensions and my sockets. So just check it out at royamoto.com in case you're interested. Let's start by removing the cover of the sprocket, and for this you're going to need the 8mm hex socket. You have another one here at the bottom. Especially if you're working on a motorcycle when you're out riding, I recommend you to use this section here of the tool roll, which is magnetic, to keep the bolts that you're removing from the motorcycle. So then you don't kick them around and they don't get lost. Just loosen this top bolt, but there's no need to remove it. And that's just so you can move this bracket like this. Since I have this cover here installed, I also have to remove a few extra bolts, but that's just for the cover. If you don't have the cover, then it's not necessary. So just move this bracket here now up, then you can just wiggle the cover out. So the sprocket is very easy to change, but since this video is only about changing the front sprocket without removing the chain, we need to give ourselves a little bit of a slack to bring the chain forward. And in order to do that, we need to loosen the rear axle. 24mm hex socket. Now here we're going to loosen this nut using a 12mm open-ended spanner, and that's where you adjust the slack of the chain. When you break this nut loose, then with a 10mm you're going to screw in this bolt in here to bring it forward so we can give ourselves some slack. Let's do the same here on the opposite side. Now we can go ahead and push the wheel forward. So there it is, we got ourselves a lot of slack in here. It's a good idea to have your motorcycle in gear, so then this front sprocket cannot move. That just makes it easier to remove these bolts in here. And to remove these bolts you need a 10mm hex socket. Now you can remove this flange. With the additional slack that we have given ourselves here for the chain, now I can kind of push the chain forward. And as I do that, like this, you see here, I can also slide the sprocket out, like that. Now here's our new sprocket. There is a correct position for you to mount, but it's really straightforward. This part here, which is smooth without any engravings, any markings, goes towards the engine. So here I'm going to line up the sprocket with the chain. And then you have these ridges here on the front sprocket. They have to match up with the ridges there on the shaft, like this. Then you make sure that you press in the sprocket all the way. Okay, now we are going to mount this flange back on, and you want to align as close as possible these holes here on the flange to the holes here on the sprocket. And there's a correct way. If I would try to mount like this, it's not going to work. So the distance, okay, the offset from the center of the shaft to the center of the diameter of the hole is different. If I would put it like this, it's not going to line up. So I have to do it like that. Now it lines up perfectly. It is a good idea to add some thread lock to these bolts. So I'm just going to add a little bit in here. Make sure that your motorcycle is in gear. Just lock the sprocket. And that's it. It's a very simple job. I would say it's gonna take you probably 10 minutes to do it. Very simple to do it. If you still have any questions, just drop a comment down below. And I have a small tip here for you. Just be careful when you're applying the torque on those two bolts that fix the sprocket, the front sprocket in its position, and also the bolts that are around there, the cover of the engine cover. These bolts are quite sensitive, and if you look online, you're going to see a lot of people that have experienced, unfortunately, that the bolt breaks when they're applying torque. Do it by feeling, okay? You don't need to apply a lot of torque. These are sensitive screws, and there is no need for you to crank it all the way. Now, last thing in here, I want to ask you a favor. If you haven't yet, check out royamoto.com if you're looking for a motorcycle toolkit. That's it, guys. Ride safe, and I see you on the next one. Bye-bye.